Hi everyone. I hope everyone's as excited as I am after watching yesterday's stream. There was a lot of information provided in the stream, especially on crafting. There are actually a lot of crafting methods exposed in the video. And today I just want to talk about all the information that I gathered and a little bit about my own speculations of how crafting happens in PoE 2. So let's talk about how crafting works in PoE 1. PoE 1 has a unique crafting system that is different from Last Epoch or Diablo 4. In those games, you would need a solid base item, and you can sort of add or modify this item to an extent to get your dream item. So having a good item or a halfway down item in the first place is critical. Whereas in PoE 1, we only need a base. Base item is this either white item with no modifiers on it, or we can have fractured or synthesis implicit on it. But majority of the craft will happening through different methods we built up in previous years, right? We have essence, harvest, you get the idea. And we will basically incrementally use those methods to improve this base item to ideal state. This will be changed completely in PoE 2. The primary crafting method provided in PoE 2 is Essence. And Essence craft is similar to what we have in Harvest in PoE 1. Allows you to secure a certain type of the modifier, but you cannot guarantee to get certain value. For example, if you use a speed essence on a boot, you can potentially get 5% movement speed, or you can potentially get 35% movement speed. This is one thing, and another thing is you can use up to two essences on a normal item. One to bring normal item to magic, and another essence to bring magic item to rare, which is not happening in PoE 1. This is good and bad in certain ways. Let me explain more. So in PoE 1, to get two T1 modifier, which basically means you use one essence to force another T1 modifier, you would need 44 essence. But if you want to hit 3 T1 mod, you would need 3000 essence. That's why in PoE 1, people barely spam essence for 2 T1 mod unless they are mirror crafting. Normally, you would use a fractured item with T1 mod already there, and you use essence to force 1 T1 mod on it. But this obviously is changed and it's more viable in PoE 2. So in PoE 2, if you want to get 2 T1 mod, you would actually need 46 normal essence and 8 greater essence, assuming each mod only have 8 tiers. So this is slightly more than the 44 essence in PoE 1. But if you want to get 3 T1 modifier, it's actually easier. You would use 500 essence to spam for the first T1 mod, and then you would try to augment for the second T1 mod, and then you would finish it up with a greater essence. So at the end of the day, you would get 3 T1 mod. Note that, for example, let's say this essence of body, it would force a left modifier. But on a body, armor or helmet or boots, left modifier can mean left region. And it could happen, for example, code. It could either be code resistance or it could also be code damage. So if we consider different mods, the number of essence we need to hit 3 T1 or even 2 T1 mods grows exponentially. So if we got all the modifiers we need, let's say we need a live helmet with 2 essence modifier. So if you're following this method, basically a normal item with 1 essence and orb of augmentation and another greater essence, you would get 2 T1 prefix and 1 T1 suffix, or 2 T1 suffix with 1 T1 prefix. This is very different from PoE 1 because in PoE 1, we would normally finish a suffix, meaning get 3 T1 suffix or get 3 T1 prefix. And then we would lock the suffix or prefix, and then we would either fail orb or do something else. Since in PoE 1, we can no longer get 3 T1 mod in one place, Further crafting will be different. Basically, after we done what we have been doing, next step involves omen. There were two omens shown in the video from yesterday. Both act like the Eldritch currency. The first is Eldritch Exalt, and another is Eldritch Now. They also promise to have more omens available for us in the game. I hope there will be lock prefix or lock suffix, but this also implies that there will no such thing in benchcraft anymore. And this further implies benchcraft might not be available in PoE 2. And let's talk about what has been changed in PoE 2. So Orb of Sourcing and Alteration is completely removed in PoE 2. So you can no longer Alteration spam anymore. And also Orb of Chaos is changed. It no longer change all the modifiers on the item. Instead, it's removing an item and augment it again. So it's more like Harvest Exalt. This also means there's no more chaos spamming. And instead, Orb of Og is gonna be much more valuable. Because Orb of Og gives you 4 modifiers on items at once. And lastly, we have Wall Orb. In PoE 1, no one would really use Wall Orb on their crafted rare items because you wouldn't risk breaking your couple hundred divine item just to get some silly modifiers. In PoE 2, it's similar. Wall Orb does give you a new possibility of adding additional sockets, but the rune in the video only gives you 12% code resistance, which is only 1/4 of a T1 resistance modifier. So it's still not worth risking your good item for just 1/4 of a T1 mod, unless you are mirror crafting. And speaking of mirror, there is also no mirror in PoE 2 as far as we know. So there is no point of mirror crafting in PoE 2 anymore. And lastly, let's talk about base item. Because Orb of Scoring is removed, and we need so many essence attempts to get our desired items, base item is going to be very valuable for crafting, and it will most likely be traded in bulks. So you should pick up all items with good bases and turn up your loot filters. And also because of the same reason, we will most likely need to identify all rare items we found on the ground because they are essentially free Auk or free Chaos Orb. Give you a chance of getting good items. To summarize, because we don't know if Benchcraft is gonna exist or not, so I think 3 T1 modifier item is gonna be what majority of the user have in the end game. And if you are really pursuing high-end item, you can potentially get 4 T1 mod. And I think 5 T1 mod or 6 T1 mod item will be insanely rare due to the lack of crafting methods.